Hi friends, it's Miss Drywa. So for math, we're still working with fractions, still doing equivalent fractions. Today we're going to learn how to use a number line to help us with equivalent fractions. Again, these are just us trying different ways to see what works for us because we're almost at the end of 4th grade, friends, which is really exciting because you guys are you're almost in 5th grade, you're almost 5th graders. And in 5th grade, you will go over equivalent fractions again, and now you'll at least have an idea of which method works for you, how you want to solve some equivalent fractions. You've seen, the fraction chart, you've seen just fraction bars, fraction circles. Today we'll do number lines, and next week we'll do multiplication. Right? So these are all different ways to approach finding equivalent fractions, and whichever way works for you, right? Because this is what it's about, you and what works for you. So let's get started with number lines. We all know number lines. We have used them before for a lot of things, comparing numbers. I know back in the day maybe you've used them for addition and subtraction. So let's just get started. Let's see. So fractions again, friends. We have our numerator on top, our denominator down below on the bottom, right? Our numerator again tells us how many parts we're talking about. And the denominator tells us how many parts are in the whole, right? All together, how many parts. So we looked at our fraction chart. We've looked at some fraction bars and circles. And today we're going to be looking at number lines. So I have 2 number lines already set up here for us to take a look at. And basically, when you are comparing fractions, I think it's best, friends, to use 2 different number lines and just have them next to each other because it might get hard if you have it other ways. Now, that doesn't mean we won't see fractions on one number line, but because for right now in this lesson, we're going to have it because we're going to be setting it up. If it's already set up for us, it might be neat and it might be easy to read. Like on your worksheet today, you'll see. But it's already set up on the worksheet, so it'll be easier to read. It's nice and neat. However, for this purpose, we are going to use 2 different number lines, and then on the next one, I will show you what it looks like to have it on the same one. So let's just get started, friends. So when I have my number lines here and they're absolutely empty, I have to figure out where my fractions go. So I'm going to look at, remember, when we use fractions on a number line, we look at our parts, right, and out of our whole. So there is, on this one, 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. And I know the first line is going to be 1. So 1 out of 4, right, or 1/4. Then I go to the next line, and I have 1, 2. So now this one's going to be 2 out of 4 because we still have the same. I didn't add any. I didn't take any equal parts away. 2 out of 4, or 2/4. Then we go 1, 2, 3, right? 3 out of 4, or 3/4. So I labeled my first number line. Okay? Now we have to label our second number line. So I have how many equal parts? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal parts. And I go to my first line, so 1 out of 6, or 1/6. Right? Easy peasy. Then I count 1, 2, and now we have 2 out of 6, or 2/6. Again, same thing. I didn't add any more equal parts. I didn't take any equal parts away. So they remain 6. 1, 2, 3 equal parts. 3 out of 6, right? 3 equal parts out of 6 equal parts altogether. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now that my number line is labeled, right, I can now figure out where I have equivalent fractions. Now, when you have equivalent fractions, friends, and you have the number line set up like this, Then if you draw a line from each line down, both lines have to touch. I'll show you. Let me change my color just so we can see. Okay, so if I go to my first one, right here, right? Let's start with 1/4. And I draw that line down, straight down. Does it line up to any of my lines that are already on this number line? Is it equal with any of these fractions? No, I have 1/6 here and 2/6 here. So it's not. I don't have an equivalent fraction from our fourths to our sixths. Nope, not yet at least. Let's go to the next one. So I take it from this line and I go straight down. Oh, wait a minute. I drew a line, right? And it lines up with 3/6. So 2/4 and 3/6 are on the same line. Now, I want to keep going to make sure we cover all our bases, but so far we found an equivalent fraction. Let's go to the next one to make sure that we don't have more than one. Who knows? When we go all the way down. Nope, I'm in between 4/6 and 5/6. So it's not an equivalent fraction. But let's go back. I have 2/4 and 3/6 are. So it's 2/4, or 2 out of 4, is equivalent to 3/6, or 3 out of 6. So I use the number line to help me. Now, sometimes you might have number lines that are already filled in, and you might not have to do the step of writing each fraction. In this case, our number lines are blank, and if you don't have a number line, you can still make your number lines, but just, try and find the equivalent fractions that way. So, easy peasy. Let's do one more before we say goodbye. So, I have these here, right? So let me go back to my other color because I like that one a little better for this. So if I have 2 equal parts and I have one line. So 1 out of 2 equal parts. Easy peasy, right? Now let's go down here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts all together. So I go to my first line and it's 1 out of the 4 that I just counted, right? So 1, 2 out of the 4 that I just counted. And then 1, 2, 3 out of the 4 that I just counted. So now we can sit here and find our equivalent fractions if we have one. So I'll change my color again. All right, so I go to my first line, right? Because it's the only line that I have here. So I go all the way down. And sure enough, it does land on another fraction. So basically, I take my 1/2, or my 1 out of 2, right? And I can see that it is equivalent or equal to this fraction because it lines up perfectly, right? It has to be equal. So 2 out of 4. Now, I know 1/2 is equal to 2/4. Great, I can see it right there, friends, right? And there are no other lines, so I know these ones are not going to be equal to any other fractions because this is my only fraction up here. Easy peasy. Now, friends, let's say I have to make a number line. Let's do that really quick. So I have my number line, right? And this sometimes gets hard because they have to be equal parts, and it's hard sometimes to make equal parts on a number line. But my first step is I make my number line, right? And I'm going to make halfway through, about. So it's not going to be perfect. So I try and go halfway through, right? And I can now label this one as 1, 2. So 1/2, right? So I know that I have 1/2. Now let me change my color again so we can see. Okay, perfect. So now let's say I want to find the equivalent fraction and I want to use the same number line. I can now cut this one in half and this one in half. And now I can figure out. So again, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. because we're still going to count this one. It's still here, right? So out of 4, my first line becomes 1/4, or 1 out of 4. 1, 2 fourths, and then 1, 2, 3 fourths. So now I can see that 1/2 and 2/4 are on the same exact line. They share the same line, right? I put my purple over my green because they're the same exact line. So I know that 1/2, or 1 out of 2, is equal to 3/4. All right, friends? So, great job. Now we've looked at our fraction chart, our fraction rectangles, our fraction circles, and number lines to help us find equivalent fractions. All right, fractions are not easy, friends. I know they're not. I know they can be tricky, and you're all doing an amazing job, okay? That's why we're doing this, because we can do this. We have got this. All right, and guess what? It's almost the end of 4th grade, and these are just some skills in order to help you do better in 5th grade. All right, friends, so have a great day. I'm so proud of you. Bye.